Hey coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin Wheel International Coin Channel. And today we have the Washington quarter from 1978. Philadelphia in 1978 they made $541.5 million. If you get up to MS67 plus, they found 3 of them, and those are worth about $2,500 each. Let's talk 1978 and let's talk the D. So there's a D there. Mint mark. It's the Phil D that we got a lot in 1978. This is almost uncirculated, and this is just how it came out with the scratches and everything on it. We can see the J and the F down there underneath pretty well. The John Flanagan. We see the D. If we tip it up, we can see the center of it. The Denver Mint in 1978, they made $287.4 million. In an MS65, Mint State 65, this is worth $6 to $7. But if you can get it up to MS67 plus, it's worth about $1,700. But they've only found one MS67 plus ever. This is a great back. Look at this. It says United States of America around the top. E pluribus unum there. We have feathers all up the bird's shoulders, all down the body of the bird. We have the tail feathers sticking out. We can't see the center of the feather of the arrow very well here, but yeah, you can see a little bit of it there. And then the olive branch at the bottom, and at the very bottom it says $quarter. This is a coin that's in great condition, pretty close to MS65. But again, if it's a Denver MS65, we're only talking $6 to $7, so not a hugely valuable coin, but still pretty darn nice. Now, if you check coin values on eBay, like I do once in a while, just for fun, mostly because sometimes they're so far off, it's scary and funny, you might see something like this, and this is the 1978 rare Washington era coin Phil D mint mark, and of course, if you look at it, you see it's a Phil D, as probably well more than half of them were, and so you can check it out, and maybe you want to make an offer on this, or maybe you think it's worth $250, but you probably should be able to find one in your change even some days. Now, there's other coins on eBay, though, that are very interesting, and this is what's called a triple curved clipped from PCGS. It's a Mint State 64. 18% of this is clipped, and if we make it larger, you'll see that this is actually right here. It was clipped probably at the mint in order to throw it away, but it wasn't thrown away. But then you see there's another clip down here where the part of the coin was clipped off, and another clip over here. So could have got caught in the machinery, or could have been clipped by someone seeking to throw the coin away. But regardless, this is a fun coin. Whether I'd pay $179 for it, I don't know. But you know it's going to be from a licensed dealer, Sullivan Numismatics, and you know that they have a lot of sales. So Sullivan thinks it's worth a lot, and somebody might, and you might think it's worth a lot too. And so this is a coin, you're probably never going to see another one of these from 1978, so it's a one of a kind, but remember, it's a error at the mint that wasn't supposed to be released, so it's not the kind of error that a lot of collectors collect. This one must be the Philly because there's no mint mark on it. No P's on these coins in 1978. The Philly Mint just didn't put a mint mark at all. We see that this one's in pretty good shape too. A really good In God We Trust over here. Really defined. A little scratchy, but again, it's uncirculated. The 8 and the 7 and the 8 are really good. Tip it up. Really, really shiny. You can see the copper core in there. And then we get onto the back. You can see, yep, this is a really nice quarter too. Maybe, again, an MS65, but Philadelphia in 1978, they made $541.5 million. And MS65, again, is only worth $6 to $7. If you get up to MS67 plus, they found 3 of them, and those are worth about $2,500 each. And then finally, this coin. This is just a beautiful coin, but remember that by 1978 they had gone to the proof sets from San Francisco. So this is an S coin, San Francisco, and this is kind of that chunky S, not the clear S. You can see it's just on there in a chunk. We tip it up on its side, and we see that it is copper, nickel-clad copper, and it has to be because they didn't make silver ones in 78. And then we get onto the back, and we see that this is a proof. Wow, it's just this is really spectacular. If we get down in there, we can see the center. We can see the tail. We can see the really good detail as it comes over. The olive branch comes over. Up at the top, we can see great detail. But you can see the little tail that comes out of the head, the little cowlick almost. And really good. Not a good beak line, but the problem with this one is the San Francisco Mint from 1978, they made 3.1 million, but they made them really well. Even if this is an MS69, it's a very little value. In a proof, or a proof 69, at a proof 65, this is worth between $2 and $3. That's all. At a proof 70, it's only worth $55 because they found over 1,000 proof 70s from 1978. So if you're looking at one of the best years for production of proof coins ever, 1978 is one of them. Over 1,000 proof 70s. But what that means, unfortunately, is that they're not very valuable because that just drives the price down. So it's about $55 for proof 70 from 1978. The old Washington quarter, back before we had Sally Ride on the quarter, and this is a beauty from 2022, and before we changed the front of the quarter, and there's Laura Garden Fraser's Washington quarter. It's not the newest design. I was almost going to say that because Laura Garden Fraser actually did this design in 1931, 1932, and it was one of the proposed designs for the original Washington quarter, which came out in 1932, but we went with the John Flanagan design, which is this design right here. And of course it was before we had the America the Beautiful quarters. And there's a 2010 Grand Canyon quarter, and that had a different front on it too. That was the back to the one signature John Flanagan here. You see the JF. Well, I'll show you the one before this. That's why I say the one signature, because when they first came out with the states and territories, they put two signatures on because William Cousins had helped with the redesign. So there's the JF there and a WC for William Cousins. So it was before, this 1978 was before we had the territories, before we had the states as a 2006. But it did come after we went to clad quarters. In 1965, we did the first of the clad quarters. We took the silver out of all but the specialty quarters. And of course, 1978 was a clad quarter year. No silver quarters in 1978. Here's the last of the year of the silver quarters, and that's, of course, 1964. And then finally, here is that first one, the John Flanagan design from 1932. And we can just barely see the J and the F there. You can see it's really worn out. This coin's worth over $5 just because it has almost that much silver in it. If we turn it over, we see it's got a D on the back here for Denver. It looks almost the same as the S when it gets really worn out. All right, well, that's all we have today from DC Coin World International Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel.